Is it possible that we have reached the age of refinement in the foldable phone story? With the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 4, Samsung apparently hasn't tried to reinvent the genre or radically alter the foldable's design and display. Instead, this latest Galaxy Z device brings a number of small but welcome design enhancements over the Z Fold 3, plus a new processor and upgraded camera array. All of this adds up to a handset that's lighter and thinner than its predecessor and generally even better equipped to serve as a traditional 6.2-inch Android 12 handset that just happens to pack an expensive flexible 7.6-inch display inside. This is a do-everything device that presents few compromises. Yes, the Galaxy Z Fold 4 is, when folded, noticeably thicker than your average smartphone. It's nearly double the thickness of the Samsung Galaxy S22. And the cover screen is a little narrower than the displays on most Android handsets, but these are small prices to pay for a phone that's productivity friendly while being able to slip easily into a pocket when folded. Samsung has really leaned into productivity possibilities via an update to its One UI software. Now, in addition to supporting multiple apps simultaneously, up to 4 at a time on screen, including one floating window, you have a new customizable app dock at the bottom of the screen from which you can drag out apps to launch them. It even supports S Pen input, but more on that, yes, but with a big caveat detailer later. The cameras are excellent and familiar, with Samsung essentially borrowing the Samsung Galaxy S22's camera array and slapping it on the back of the Galaxy Z Fold 4. Do we wish that $1,799 handset came with the absolute best camera technology Samsung has to offer? Of course, but we don't think many people will miss the 10x zoom or 100x space zoom options. Power-wise, the Galaxy Z Fold 4 features the best mobile CPU Qualcomm currently has to offer, the Snapdragon 8 Plus Generation 1, backed by 12 MB of RAM. This chip isn't quite powerful as Apple's A15 Bionic, but Qualcomm is closing the gap, and based on our testing, the chip has all the power you need for most typical tasks and enough headroom for more CPU-intensive ones like editing 8K video streams. This is also an Apple gaming device and a real pleasure to use when it comes to a good Netflix binge. It's an attractive handset both when it's closed and you are looking at the cover screen, and when unfolded into its larger tablet mode, because the hinge is less prominent than on the Z Fold 3. You can also fool yourself into believing that this is just another non-folding handset. Sure, the crease on the inside screen is still visible, and you will feel it when swiping your fingers along the display, but again, these are fair trade-offs for having a folding glass screen. Samsung clearly believes it has a pretty good foundational structure for its premier folding device, and that's why the Z Fold 4 isn't radically different from the Galaxy Z Fold 3. That said, there are actually lots of small build and design differences, some of which you can plainly see while others are hidden beneath the frame. Folded, the device is still 67.1mm wide, but the shape of the product has changed so that from certain angles the hinge is less noticeable. The handset is 155.1mm long, which is almost 3mm shorter than the Z Fold 3. This gives the device a more conventional phone shape rather than the odd-looking oblong shape of previous folds. More importantly, this is now a thinner and lighter device. Instead of the Galaxy Z Fold 3's 6.4mm thickness when unfolded, the table moat is now just 6.3mm thick. That's not a huge difference, but it also brings the weight down to 263 grams, 8 grams lighter than the Galaxy Z Fold 3. The buttons or ports are standard fare for a smartphone, but the folding design does mean the placement isn't typical. There is the SIM slot along the top edge, speaker and mic holes along one edge, a speaker grill, mic hole and USB-C port along the bottom, and on the other edge a volume rocker and power and sleep button that doubles as your fingerprint sensors, which happens to work quite nicely. I registered multiple fingers. The phone also supports Face ID biometrics, but you are warned that it's less secure than other methods. When folded, the Galaxy Z Fold 4 can feel a little thick and heavy in the hand compared to most other Android handsets. It's not uncomfortable though. Unfolded, this is a thin and light tablet. The main noticeable difference between it and, say, an iPad mini is that the bezel surrounding the screen has a tiny raised lip to keep the bendable screen covering in place and protected. The re-engineered hinge is a real highlight here. No longer does it stick out from the side of the phone when folded. Instead, it's hugging the frame thanks to a new hinge design that jettisoned the gears in favor of a flatter mechanical design. It looks great, and at least in the time we have been using this phone, it works smoothly. As you are bending the phone, it feels solid yet pliant, as if to reassure you, yes, this is what you are supposed to do with me. The frame is IPX8 rated, which means it will survive 30 minutes in 1 meter of water, but due to the hinge mechanics, it's not dust resistant. That's all for today. Thank you for watching. If you like the video, feel free to share it with your friends and keep watching Best Buy to get your top-notch day-to-day commodities.